is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is not Microsoft Surface Pro 5 or Microsoft Surface Pro 4, though it looks like it. It is such a near perfect clone, at least in terms of the casing and design of the Microsoft Surface Pro 4. Instead, this is the Teclast X5 Pro. This is a Chinese import tablet, and it has pretty good specs actually for $500. It works with an optional pen. It has a clone of the type cover too. We're going to look at it now. So here it is in all of its clone-ish goodness. Though the front face is not quite exactly a clone of Surface, particularly the display. It's pretty decent, but it's not nearly Surface level. But as we take a look around, obviously we have the Windows key right over there. The design is just phenomenally like the Surface. You've got that same angled casing right here. You have, well, the same little notch to pull out the kickstand. But the kickstand is not quite as good as Surface Pro 4. It has two positions, notch 1, you can feel it, notch 2, and that's it. So you can't lay it really far low back like you can Surface Pro 4. And here in comparison is Surface Pro 4, so we have the infinite kickstand. Any place you want it to be, it doesn't have to lock into, and it can drop this far down. So you get the idea. There's a difference there, but pretty darn impressive copying work going on here. In fact, we even have a micro SD card slot hidden under the back flap, just like Surface. Now, this one's a little bit different. Where Surface, you pretty much have to use suction cups to pull the display off the front face if you want to open it up. This casing is obviously held together with lots of very teeny tiny Phillips head screws that are visible over here, though there are none along the top. Unlike Surface Pro 4, you have more ports, and they're labeled here for your convenience too. So we have a USB-C port on this. It's 3.0, not even Gen 1 3.1 though. So it functions as a USB 3.0 port just fine. It doesn't support charging them. That's the barrel pin connector for the charger. Really compact smartphone size charger comes with them. And we have a regular USB 3.0 port. We have micro HDMI and we have micro USB. One on each side there. Headphone jack, and there's your volume control. So in terms of ports, it's doing pretty well, though some of those are the micro kind. The tablet is surprisingly heavy, and unfortunately it's not because it's filled with the world's most massive battery. I don't know what's in there, a lead lining or something. It weighs 1.22 kilograms, it's 2.7 pounds, and that is just the tablet itself, so it's almost twice as heavy as Surface Pro 4. It's a lot to hold. I mean, the good part is it does feel dense when you pick it up. It feels pretty well made. It certainly feels sturdy enough. There's a clone of the type cover as well that's available for just $54 on GearBest, which is the place that supplied us with this review unit. Alas, they didn't send us the type cover clone. There is an optional pen that is a whopping $16. And it's got a little button here. The pen goes to sleep, which is pretty annoying, honestly. It's trying to save power for the pen. This is a rechargeable battery with a micro USB connector here to charge it. Now, I've charged it and used it for about 3-4 days, and it hasn't needed a charge again. Of course, it is obviously going to sleep after about 30 seconds or so of use. Now, this is a bit of a mystery, this pen here. It's not Wacom EMR. It's not Wacom AES. It's not even UC Logic. I tried those drivers. No, and it's not N-Trig. So this probably is some kind of active capacitive technology. It's a fairly wide tip here. And as a pointing device and for basic handwriting, it works. You do have palm rejection decently well, but not super. Not as good as N-Trig, not as good as Wacom's solutions, and there's no pen pressure whatsoever on this, certainly no tilt or anything like that, so as it's only the most basic of pens in terms of features. Inside we have Intel 7th generation Kaby Lake Core M3 CPU. It is the M3-7Y30. It's a 1 gigahertz CPU with turbo boost to 2.6 gigahertz. Core M's always have a very high turbo boost. They spend very small amount of times at those high turbo boost clock speeds, but it's enough for it to do pretty well in benchmarks. And in general, Kaby Lake is about 10% faster than Skylake when it comes to the Core M3 CPUs. Performance on this was actually not bad. You can see me going through Photoshop here. I've got Lightroom image up here, a 24 meg raw file, and it's actually handling it pretty decently. I just wouldn't juggle too many heavy applications at a time because the processor will bog down. There's 8 gigs of DDR3 low power RAM in here. It's dual channel. DDR3 is as much of the Core M will support. It doesn't do DDR4. And you've got an SSD inside, 256 gigs, so that's a little bit more ample than, say, what you usually see on something like the Cube i7, which is another Chinese import that we reviewed. It shows up as a 4C 240 gig SSD, though it's marketed as 256 gig. In fact, Windows reports it as actually being 256 gigs. You can see the benchmarks on screen. It's okay. It's obviously an SATA interface drive. You're not going to get PCIe at this price. It has Intel 3165 AC with Bluetooth 4.2, and that's Intel's introductory level Wi-Fi card. Is pretty decent for the price. The cameras on this, the 5 megapixel rear and the 2 megapixel front, are really mediocre. It has front-facing stereo speakers. That's an intelligent placement. I mean, this is a small tablet, 12.2 inch, so mediocre sounding, but not any worse than the competition, honestly, except for Surface Pro 4, which has surprisingly robust audio. But a lot of budget tablets just really don't have fantastic audio. The display on this, if you're in an interior room, I mean, not taking this outdoors and sitting in front of your local Starbucks, is actually not bad looking. The color gamut on this is pretty decent. 91% of sRGB, 72% of Adobe RGB, so that's fairly competitive with products up to $1,000 in price. It's 12.2 inches, it's 1920 by 1200 resolution, so that makes it a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. It's IPS, so viewing angles are good, but boy, this thing is glossy, so it's going to reflect like crazy. And the fact that it only goes up to 186 nits of brightness is why I say you're going to want to use this indoors. Indoors, it looks perfectly nice, actually. It's not bonded glass. You can see the distance between the glass on top and the digitizer down below, but it's a nicer looking display than what you get on the Cube i7 family of products that we've reviewed so far. Despite its great weight, it has a 5,000 milliamp battery. They don't provide watt-hour information for this, just milliamp. That would be smaller than the Samsung Galaxy Tab S3 Android tablet, so that's not really very big. The Core M3 is fanless, and it is a 5-watt CPU, so it doesn't use a lot of power. So, okay, you don't need a lot there. But still, we averaged around 4.5 to 5 hours of use, with brightness set at 140 nits, which for this is about 2/3 of maximum to achieve that 140 nits. So, super-duper battery life? No, not so much. Of course, some people find Surface Pro 4's battery life isn't that great either. I tend to average 6.5 hours with my Surface Pro 4, though. So the pen experience, this is Sketchbook Pro that we've got here, and just to demonstrate handwriting, it really doesn't matter what program you're using, and any tablet made in 2016, 2017 has the ability to be quick enough to keep up with your handwriting. It doesn't track super duper nice. I don't have the best handwriting, but that looks kind of eh. Now if I rest my hand on this screen, it's doing okay. You see, so somehow it's managing a pretty good palm rejection, whatever that technology is. But no matter what brush I use, I'm not going to get anything like variable line width or anything like that. So as a basic pointing device, as a note-taking device, sure, it's good. For an art device, not so much, really, just because we need the pressure sensitivity on this. So that's the Teclast. It wouldn't be better if it was Tech First. But anyway, it's the X5 Pro. They do make several different models. This is the X5 Pro. And you know, for $500, it's not bad. You're obviously getting more RAM and more SSD storage than you would with the Surface Pro 4. But you're losing the pen functionality. Yes, it has a pen, but there's no pressure sensitivity on it. There's no software control panel. No program really seems to recognize it. So you can just do basic ink on it. So yeah, given that there are lots of sales on Surface Pro 4s these days, I leave it up to you as to whether it's worth it. But you know what? I have to say that they've done a pretty good job, other than the unexpectedly heavy weight here, of making a pretty decent tablet with a fairly nice looking display. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this video.